The Realme X7 Max has finally launched in India, and in this video it goes against one of its closest competitors, the Xiaomi Mi 11X. Let's begin. Xiaomi and Realme have been going back and forth in the race for supremacy, and so it is time yet again to find out which among the two gives you the best all-round mid-range smartphone. According to YouTube, most of you who watch our videos are still not subscribed to the channel, so go ahead, hit that red subscribe button and press the bell icon so that you don't miss any of our latest videos. Let me be clear from the get-go between the two phones. The Mi 11X feels more premium in the hand because of its glass rear versus the matte plastic rear on the Realme X7 Max. But otherwise, without a shadow of a doubt, the Realme X7 Max is the more ergonomic phone between the two. Both come with plastic frames, but as I said, the rear of the Mi 11X is protected by Gorilla Glass 5, even the front for that matter. As for the Realme X7 Max, the front is protected by AGC Dragon Trail glass, which is almost as good as the Gorilla Glass 5. Now personally, I like the design of the Realme X7 Max. The company has done away with the giant Dare to Leap branding that we have seen in recent Realme phones, and now you can see this box logo that sits in this glossy strip. Along with the matte texture, the grip is reassuring. And overall, the Realme is a far more comfortable device to hold and operate because of the lightweight construction and manageable footprint. Besides this, both phones have nice and clicky buttons. In terms of authentication, while the Mi 11X relies on a side-mounted physical fingerprint sensor, the X7 Max relies on an in-display fingerprint solution. In terms of speed, the optical in-display fingerprint sensor of the X7 Max is fast and accurate. However, I still feel nothing beats the speed and accuracy of a physical fingerprint sensor. Otherwise, both smartphones feature dual nano SIM slots and sadly no expandable storage on both. But the X7 Max does have a 256GB variant. This one that I have with me right here is the 12GB RAM plus a 256GB storage variant. There's also an 8GB RAM variant that comes with 128GB storage. As for the Mi 11X, you get standard 128GB storage on both the 6GB RAM and 8GB RAM variants. Also, the Mi 11X comes with an IR blaster, while the Realme X7 Max features the good old 3.5mm headphone jack. Which one is more important to you? Let me know in the comments. On to the display on both these smartphones. The Realme X7 Max features a 6.43-inch Super AMOLED panel, while the Mi 11X features a slightly taller and wider 6.67-inch E4 AMOLED panel. Both displays offer 120Hz refresh rate and 360Hz touch sampling rate, although Xiaomi claims a peak brightness of up to 1300 nits, while Realme claims a peak brightness of up to 1000 nits. For comparison, this is how they look in daylight, and yes, the screens are reflective but they are legible. Also, I did not spot any green tint issue in the dark on both the smartphones. Now, before testing the panels, I had set the screen color profile manually to P3 on both smartphones. That would be P3 under advanced settings for Xiaomi and vivid mode under screen color mode for Realme. While watching Netflix, despite the Xiaomi claiming to have 1300 nits versus 1000 nits on the Realme, I felt the X7 Max was brighter here. I've tried to show the difference in these shots, but I don't know how much the camera will be able to do justice. Now, YouTube videos appeared brighter on the Mi 11X, still warm in comparison to the Realme, but definitely brighter. However, colors do look more natural on Realme's panel, and remember, as I said, both phones are set to the P3 display profile. Also, on the Mi 11X, with the AI HDR enhancement feature enabled, you can literally change the look and feel of the videos. So if you feel the colors in a video aren't up to your standards, simply choose an effect that suits your taste and you are sorted. So overall, it's a tough one in the display department. While the Realme X7 Max gives you an excellent panel with good color reproduction, I think the extra features such as AI HDR enhancement and MEMC do give the advantage to the Mi 11X. But then again, don't base your purchase decision on the display quality alone, because you can choose either of them and you won't be disappointed. Okay, time for the hardware bit. So the Mi 11X is powered by the 7nm Snapdragon 870 SoC, while the Realme X7 Max features the latest 6nm Dimensity 1200 chipset from MediaTek. And how do they fare against each other? Well, here are some benchmarks. Starting with Geekbench, and in terms of single core scores, almost on par performance, but the X7 Max definitely scored better in the multi-core. Even in Antutu, the X7 Max scored about 27,000 more than the Mi 11X, but if you see the individual CPU scores, the Mi 11X did significantly better, while the GPU score is slightly better on the X7 Max. Finally, let's run 3D Mark to check how stable these phones are for long sessions of gameplay. Now, 3D Mark scores are interesting. While the Mi 11X scored a decent 90% stability, the X7 Max scored a poor 61% stability. Because while the X7 Max's best loop score is much better than Xiaomi's, its lowest loop score is nothing to write home about. So coming to the real world performance in general usage, that is for browsing the web, using social media, for media consumption, etc. Both are excellent smartphones. Actually, speaking of media consumption, both smartphones offer stereo speakers that sound amazing, and here's a quick audio sample. Genius. Anyway, coming back to the performance, so when it comes to gaming, the Mi 11X is the better among the two. For instance, after playing an hour of COD mobile on both smartphones, they did get warm to the touch around the middle at the rear, which is fine. It didn't make the devices uncomfortable to hold. Although over longer sessions, I was able to spot those occasional frame drops on the Realme X7 Max. Also keep in mind that the Dimensity 1200 chipset for some weird reason doesn't allow COD to run at very high graphics and max frame rates at the same time. As for the Mi 11X, the Snapdragon 870 had no issues running the game at very high graphics and max frame rates. So in terms of gaming, if you want that raw performance, I feel the Mi 11X is better among the two. That said, the X7 Max can run the demanding of titles, it's just that you'll have to live with the occasional frame drops over longer sessions of gameplay. But gaming aside, as I said earlier, general performance has been good on both these smartphones. Now the Mi 11X runs MIUI 12, while the X7 Max runs Realme UI 2.0. Both of these are based on Android 11. Recently, I ran a poll on Twitter asking you guys which one would you pick between MIUI and Realme UI. And as per 1207 votes, many of you picked Realme UI, and maybe I understand why is that. See, I said this in my Mi 11X versus iQOO 7 comparison as well, and I would say this again. MIUI is an exceptional software with tons of features and many people love it. But if you prefer a simplistic approach, I prefer a simplistic approach, then you will be happier with Realme UI. Apart from this, good thing is that both skins did not troll me with ads, which is great. As for the preloaded applications, well, they are there, but at least they allow you to skip downloading most of the suggested apps during the setup process. In terms of connectivity, both smartphones have 5G, but the Realme X7 Max has a clear advantage here when it comes to the band support. The X7 Max supports 6 5G bands versus 2 on the Xiaomi. As for carrier aggregation, well, it is there on both smartphones, and that is great. Finally, before jumping on to the camera, let's talk about the battery life. The Mi 11X has a 4520 mAh battery which supports 33 watt fast charging using the bundled charger. The Realme X7 Max has a 4500 mAh battery which supports 50 watt fast charging using the bundled charger. So similar battery sizes, and they fully charge under an hour as well, which is great. But in terms of endurance, the Realme X7 is hands down better than the Mi 11X. In my experience, I was getting a screen on time of about 5 hours on the Mi 11X, while the X7 Max was giving me a screen of time of close to about 6.5 hours. And even in terms of standby times, the Realme fared better than Xiaomi, so much so that on days with medium use, the Realme would even last me for about a day and a half on a single charge, while the Mi 11X is strictly a one-day phone. Okay, time to talk about the camera now. In terms of specs, both phones here come with triple rear cameras. The Mi 11X features a 48 megapixel Sony IMX582 main camera with EIS, an 8 megapixel ultra-wide camera and a 5 megapixel tele macro camera. There's a 20 megapixel front-facing camera for selfies. As for the Realme X7 Max, there's a 64 megapixel Sony IMX682 main camera with EIS, an 8 megapixel ultra-wide camera and a 2 megapixel macro camera. For selfies, there's a 16 megapixel front-facing camera. While comparing the output from both smartphones, I can easily say that if you prefer to see close to natural tones in your photos, I think you should stick with the Mi 11X, because while the photos taken from the Realme X7 Max look nice and vibrant, one can't deny that the camera has the tendency to oversaturate tones and even mess up the colors in some situations. Although the Realme X7 Max does seem to do a better job when it comes to dealing with highlights and shadows. For that matter, even Xiaomi does a good job in exposing the brighter areas in a photo, but it does seem to have its share of problems in dealing with the darker areas, something that Realme does better. But surprisingly, in extremely dim lighting, Xiaomi with its night mode does give you a brighter and more usable output in comparison to the Realme. Okay, in terms of clicking human subjects from the rear camera, I think Realme does a better job than Xiaomi in most cases. I found my skin tone to look slightly more natural in Realme's output. However, details are sure shot better on the Xiaomi. Even for selfies, while dynamic range is excellent on both smartphones, once again I felt Realme's front camera did a slightly better job of exposing my skin tone. Even Xiaomi did a good job, but Realme, as I said, slightly better here. However, again, as for details, the Mi 11X it is. In terms of video recording, both phones rely on EIS for stabilization, but as you can see in this 4K 30fps sample, the footage taken from the Xiaomi looks to be slightly more stable. Also, one can't ignore the oversaturated colors in Realme's output. So for those who prefer realistic tones, well, the X7 Max might not appeal to you. However, the EIS totally gives up on both smartphones when you shoot 60 fps videos. This is the 1080p sample, and in terms of color reproduction, one looks vibrant while the other looks realistic, and that is fine. What's not fine is the stabilization. That said, the Realme X7 Max does have a ultra steady mode for 1080p 60 fps videos that crops into the main sensor while shooting, and whatever it is, it does help in improving the quality by a significant margin. Finally, here's a selfie sample comparison. These are the front-facing 1080p 30fps video samples being shot on the Realme X7 Max and the Xiaomi Mi 11X. So the Mi 11X can shoot up to 60 fps videos as well. The Realme X7 Max cannot. And in terms of output, this is how they look like, guys. Which one do you think so? Which phone is do you think so is doing a better job right now? Let me know in the comments. As far as I can make out on the phone screen, I think so Realme's output is brighter. Although stabilization, the video looks more stable. The footage looks more stable right now that I'm shooting on the Xiaomi Mi 11X. That's my opinion. I think so. What do you guys think? And which phone's output do you think so is better right now? Let me know in the comments. And yeah, that's about it for the front facing video sample, guys. Let me know which phone's output do you think so, overall output do you think so is better in the comments. Cheers. So in between the two, which phone is the right one for you? Well, not a very simple answer, guys, but let me put it this way. If you're the kind of person who wants the most feature-loaded software skin there is, that is MIUI. If you want the raw performance in terms of gaming, if a glass rear panel is a huge deal for you, and if you prefer more natural looking photos and videos from the camera, I would say go for the Mi 11X. However, if you want the big screen experience in a light and compact form factor, you want faster charging, mind you, longer battery life as well, you love the headphone jack, and you don't mind photos and videos that look social media ready, you won't be disappointed with the Realme X7 Max. Now, if you ask my opinion, personally, I would go for the Realme X7 Max, because even while the Mi 11X offers you the raw performance and the superior build quality, I think so nothing beats the compact form factor of the Realme X7 Max. I mean, you have to use this phone to know how comfortable it is to, use with one hand. And as for the camera, well, there is Gcam, so I can always install that and that sorts out for me. But do you guys want to see a video on that? Let me know in the comments. As always, for all the latest in tech, stay tuned to Mr. Phone. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.